New GPU RTX 3050 has launched and is on the market now, and you're able to buy it. But the question is it worth buying? What spec does it have? And why is this RTX 3050 the best one to buy out of the other RTX 3050s if you are a creator? Well, let's find out.
This video is sponsored by Artlist, which is also my go-to music and sound effects licensing site. Music license from Artlist is covered by a worldwide royalty-free license, which includes all projects from personal YouTube videos to high-end TV commercials. Once you've downloaded a song with active subscription, it's yours to keep forever. New music and sound effects are added to the site daily, so you'll never run out of choice. Now also featuring Artlist Personal Plan that covers all your social channels. Pay monthly or save even more when paid annually. Your license lasts forever for all published projects during the subscription period. And the best part is, if you sign up through the links in the description below, you'll get 2 months for free. So check out Artlist in the video description below.
I think you're as excited as I am what's inside the box, and then we're going to talk about specs and then do a little benchmark in the end of the video. This is a very tiny box. It's like very slim compared to some of the other. Look at this. This is like 3070 from Gigabyte, and look at this. This is like absolutely massive, but it's small. It's a small graphics card. So then inside, ooh, ASUS in search of the incredible. Okay, this tiny little guy is the graphics card. Let's put that on the side. Let's see what else is in here. I remember this. We had the similar one with the Noctua card that we had from ASUS. I think ASUS is actually making these kind of like a cards, like collectible cards that you get with your graphics cards. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, but that's pretty cool. Some literature as always and blah, blah, blah in there, but we want to know what the graphics card is like and what it looks like. Okay. Ah, look at that. Very nice backplate over here. One 8-pin PCIe connector. Then we have 2 fans over here. We do have a heatsink. There is a tiny little bit that is overhanging the PCB of this over here. So there's maybe like an inch that is like a blow through. You know, if you have that, it's going to blow on your RAM and other bits over here. But you can see it slightly goes through over there, but not like a massive bit over there. There is some RGB, I think, that's going to come over here. So we're going to look at that in a moment when we're going to plug it in there and do a little bit of a benchmark. There is one HDMI. I think this is 2.1, and then 3 display ports over here. So you can connect up to 4 displays if you want. So let's talk about some of the specs of this card then. It's an 8nm process, and the chip comes from Samsung. It's a GA106 GPU, which is basically a binned down version of the RTX 3060. 3060 a little bit down, and then boom, we've got 3050. There's 2560 CUDA cores, 128-bit memory bus, 130 watt TDP. Now I tried to find the TDP for this card over here because this is an OC version, because the boost clock of this one is much higher than the reference card. The reference card is 1777 megahertz, whereas this one is 1852 megahertz, which is a little bit higher. So I expect the TDP to be a little bit higher than 130 watt, but not massively. We'll see how much this pulls when we max this out. There's 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 over here compared to the AMD, you know, like budget card that was just launched, RX 6500 XT, that has only 4 gigabytes. This one is much better, and it has all the NVENC encoders inside. So Nvidia hasn't cheaped out on that one, which is good news, especially for creators, because the NVENC encoders are going to add massively to your creative workflow, whether it's timeline performance or exporting, much better. And then now the cherry on the cake, why these ASUS cards are the best ones to buy as a creator, is because you get 1 month for free Adobe Creative Cloud membership. Now you might be thinking, that's not a big deal, like 1 month, you know, how much does that cost? But if you're already on Creative Cloud and you're Adobe user and you're already paying for the Creative Cloud, and if you have 2 choices whether to go like, I don't know, MSI, Gigabyte or ASUS here for your PC, and you're buying this for your, you know, workstation PC, just getting this ASUS card, if the prices are all the same, this is going to be cheaper because you just get a free 1 month of membership of the card. I really like that about ASUS, because looks like they are massively like trying to draw the creators into their field, and I just found out about that, so I'm super excited to see this in there. And for me, that's like a massive thing why to choose ASUS over the competition. So the MSRP for this is $250, and obviously this is the bad news, because if it was $250, it would be amazing. But I'm looking at the price point at the moment, and in the US, it gets sold here from Amazon and different retailers and different places roughly around $500 to $600, which is like double the MSRP. In the UK, the price is not that bad. I can see the card roughly around 370 to 500 with some of the higher ones on sale. So it depends which like model you go for, but it doesn't look as bad as in the US. Now, I do want to say to you that don't make this mistake when buying an RTX 3050 card. Let's say you decide to buy this, then don't buy like a massive heatsink version. If you see 3 fans on the card, you don't really need it, because the cooling for this is absolutely fine even with these 2 fans and the smaller cards, because the card is very, very power efficient. Like it's 130 watts pulled from the card. It's very, very low. You don't need a massive TUF graphics card or massive, you know, like gigabyte master ones or 3 fans, any of those. If you see 3 fans, you're paying for this heatsink or the extra cooling design, but you're not going to get any extra performance. So that's a waste of money. I'd go for the 2 fan design ones because you're just going to get it cheaper and the same performance. But the interesting thing is, compared to the 1660 Super, the price range is roughly the same. Like the 1660 Super gets sold around the same price range, around $500 to $600 in the US or $350 to $450 in the UK. But the 1660 has 6 gigabytes of GDDR6, 125 watt TDP, so a little bit less, and 192-bit memory bus, which is a little bit higher, which is interesting. But the CUDA cores are massively lower, 1408 compared to the 2560 cores which are over here. But also compared to the RTX 3060, which is extra like $200, $300 compared to this RTX 3050. What we get with the 3060, we get 12 gigabytes of GDDR6, the same one, but the memory bus is higher at 192-bit. We have around extra 1000 CUDA cores, 3584 CUDA cores, and 170 watt TDP, or just, you know, wattage pulled from the card. So I'm curious to see where does it slide exactly with like the benchmarks in there. Now, I'm not going to go into full set of creative benchmarks in different applications over here, because this is like the initial thoughts and things like that. I'm gonna have to run loads of benchmarks over there with different cards. Like I want to know how this compares with the 2060 Super, the RTX 3060, 3060 Ti, in the like budget or lower end of the cards. Where does this slot? Is it worth it? Definitely interested in checking this out. Also, we're going to be doing a build with this card soon, so stay tuned, especially if you're a photographer. I've got some very interesting build coming up for you soon. Let's turn this PC off, change the graphics card, and let's see how does it perform. So first of all, looking at the OpenCL score, there's 3 tests that I did over here, and all of them kind of score roughly around 74,000, something like that over there. So here we can see the OpenCL scores, and let's have a look. Where is 75,000? So we are roughly around here. So we have Powerdraw, RTX 6000, 75, Pro Vega 64 over here. Ooh, that's interesting. We're not far from GeForce RTX 2070 Super Max Q design. So that's the laptop design, but still very interesting. Look at this. This is the reference card over here, 71,000. As you can see, we are getting with our ASUS card, we're getting a few extra 1,000 points on the score over here, roughly around 75,000 over here, which is interesting because the clock speeds they've like tuned it a little bit basically. Okay, that's 96,000. So RTX 3060 is very far above, quite a bit higher actually. In terms of the 1660 Super, as you can see, we're quite a bit higher. This is 60,000 points and we are 75,000 points, which is quite a bit higher. Now looking at the CUDA score, we're roughly around 75,000, something like that, 74, 75,000, depending on the score. That's why I'm doing always like at least 3 tests to kind of get an average. As you can see, there's already RTX 3050 over here with 74,000, but we are roughly around 75,000. As you can see, we're very close to the 2060. That's interesting, but I'm a little bit disappointed that we're still not beating like the lowest of the RTX 2000 series cards. The 1660 Super, again, about 65,000 points, where we are 75,000 over there. So an RTX 3060 is 98,000, so quite a bit ahead again over here. Now I also did the Vulkan score over here, which is 58,000 and 60,000 and 58,000. I think we're roughly leaning more towards the 60,000 or 59,000 scores over here. So let's have a look at this one. Probably around 60,000 more like over here. That's where we're gonna land over here. So RTX 2060, now we're much closer to that one over there. 74,000, so that's quite a bit higher. And the 1660 Super is roughly about 55,000, which is interesting. It's not far like down compared to this one. Look at here, 3050, 1660 Super, not on the Vulkan score, we're not that much different. So in terms of where does it line in, it's, I think, a little bit better than the 1660 Super. And looking at the price range, the 1660 Super is $500 to $600, which is like the same as we're getting this 3050 for. And I think the 3050 prices are slightly gonna fall in the next few months whenever you're watching this video. So definitely check the latest pricing and availability in the links in the description below through those links, and they're constantly updating the pricing if you want to pick up any of those. I'm gonna leave the other GPUs in there as well, so you can just compare them between them two. But I think this is a much better buy than the 1660 Super. Here's why: because it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM rather than 6 gigabytes, which is much more helpful for creators if you're especially editing in DaVinci Resolve that loves to use that VRAM for different things. We're slightly better at the benchmark scores than the 1660 Super, and if you want to do some gaming, we have an RT cores over there as well. Like, it's actual ray tracing now on this card as well, the lowest of the card, but it's nothing amazing, so I wouldn't really like make the jump just because of that kind of feature. More like gigabytes of RAM and the actual computing power and the Cuda cores that are much more on this card than on the 1660 Super. Now there is quite a measurable jump up to 3060, as you can see in all of these benchmarks, so that's why we see a little bit of a bigger price point on the 3060. But these are just like very general kind of computing, graphics computing, you know, scores, but not like real world performance. If you want to see that, hit that subscribe button, where we're actually going to be looking at different creative benchmarks and where we're actually going to test these on different applications. Then we're going to know that for sure. But another thing we want to find out is how does it perform in the actual, like, you know, power consumption, how much power does it run through over here, and how good is are the thermals. Now, as you can see, I have run this Thermark test quite a while over here. 8 minutes we have done this on. The GPU is still climbing over here, but I'll let it run in the background a little bit. I want to see this climbing still. So at the moment, our GPU is roughly around 65C over here, according to these temps over here, and the Thermark is showing what, about 65 as well. And it looks like that's roughly where it's going to topple, because it doesn't go very much higher or very much lower, so that's roughly where it's going to go over there. So let's put the panel on the side on as well. Let's see if it's any different. Then let's see if the temperature starts rising over there or not. Now, this is quite a good airflow over there as well, so I don't expect it to make a massive amount of difference, but let's see. In terms of the wattage here, it's around 130 watts still pulled from the socket, which is very much the same as on the reference card, or what the specs say, 130 watt GPU power, and we're literally pulling that. But ASUS has clocked this higher, so we're getting higher like scores or actual better performance than the reference card. So as you can see, I've had the panel on over there, and it looks like I'm slightly even dropping in temperature. I'm going sometimes lower than 65 or 64, as you can see over here. So the temperature inside the case doesn't change that much because it does have a better airflow. Now, I guess this air that was blowing from the front over there, it actually bounces off the glass and actually starts cooling the GPU. So it's a little bit better than actually open case. So we're slightly dropping down. As you can see, from this point we started going down, and now you can see it's slightly lower over here, which is interesting. In terms of the fan speed of the GPU, it's very low as well. Like, it's not very high. It doesn't make a lot of noise. Like, I can't hear it. I can hear the other fans much more than GPU fans, and this is 100% utilizer, absolutely stressing the GPU, seeing how far it's gonna go. So my concluding thoughts. I think this GPU is a very interesting GPU for creators, especially if you're going with the ASUS one, because you get, first of all, the Adobe Creative Cloud membership for free, 1 month that is, but also you do get a lower end kind of graphics card that's kind of affordable, and I'm hoping that the prices will go down here now in the near future. This is the newest graphics card, which means Nvidia is still pushing those graphics cards out, which means that, you know, there's more availability of these, which means the graphics cards are probably going to drop in price. And the better thing is maybe the 1660 Super is going to drop in price because it's not as good. But also for photographers, for example, these creators who don't need a lot of graphics power and maybe they just want the graphics card to run the screens maybe and then have a little bit of a video editing performance, I think this is a very interesting card because you do have all of the encoders in there, and it's a much better option compared to like something that AMD offers for the same price range. I guess the only downside I have for this card is the price. I wish the card was about like $100 cheaper, $200 cheaper. If it was actually $250 like the MSRP, I think this would be a very interesting card. Very like amazing card for creators who want to do like 4K video editing on a budget. It would be interesting, but to pay double that price, it's still like, ugh. But since the price and the market is like that, I think it's still kind of an okay option. But hey, I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll leave this card linked below if you want to pick this up. And as always, likes if you enjoyed it, subs if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you in the comment section below. Bye bye. До свидания.